Hey everyone, have you ever heard a story about a king who was so evil that he was actually afraid of a tiny little baby? I know, it sounds crazy, right? Well, today we're going to dive into an ancient tale all about a super scary king, a really brave mom, and a miracle that changed absolutely everything. You ready? Let's go. Okay, but before we jump in, I've got a question for you. Think about it for a sec. What makes a villain truly evil? Is it, how scary they look? Or maybe they have crazy magical powers? Or is it something else? Something deeper inside them? Keep that question in your head as we get into our story today. Because today, it's like we're opening up a super old, dusty book, and inside, we're going to meet one of the baddest, meanest villains of all time. His name? King Kamsa. All right, so here's where our story starts. Picture this. It's dark, and it's scary. We find out that this King Kamsa, he's actually locked up his own sister, Devaki, and her husband in a prison. Can you believe that? And you want to know why? It's all because he's totally terrified of a prophecy, like a warning from the future that says her 8th baby will be the one who finally stops him.
And then, in the middle of the night, when everything's quiet, the prison guards hear a sound, a tiny little sound. It's the Bala Dhwanim. Now that's our very first word from the ancient language of Sanskrit, which is super cool. And it just means the cry of a newborn child. Now for most people, that's a happy sound, right? But for King Kamsa, it was the scariest sound in the entire world.
So the second they hear that cry, the guards are on their feet. They know the king has been just waiting, probably pacing his room, totally freaking out about this exact moment. So they rush to tell him the news they know he's been dreading. His sister, Devaki, she just had her baby. And the second Kamsa hears it, pure terror. Here is my death. He just screams it out. He literally leaps out of his bed. He's so panicked and full of fear that his hair is just flying everywhere as he storms off toward that prison cell. And this next part, oh man, it's probably the most heartbreaking part of the whole story. When that cruel king bursts into the cell, he sees his sister, Devaki, just clutching her newborn baby, trying with everything she has to protect her. You can just imagine the tears streaming down her face as she begs him. She tries to reason with him. She says, look, the baby's just a little girl. She could even grow up and marry your son one day. You can't do this. She cries out, just hoping there's a little bit of kindness still somewhere in his heart.
I mean, just think about how desperate she must feel. She reminds him, you've already taken so many of my beautiful children. She pleads with him, this is just one little girl. Please give her to me as a gift. I'm your sister, and I have no one left.
But Kamsa, he's just so full of fear that he can't see or hear anything else. All that cruelty completely destroyed any love he ever had. First, he just ignores your tears completely. Then he yells at her just so harshly. And finally, he snatches that tiny baby right out of her hands. He was about to do the unthinkable. But right at that moment, just as Kamsa is about to do this horrible, evil thing, something totally unbelievable happens. The whole story just takes this massive turn from pure terror to absolute wonder. So as he lifts the baby up, ready to smash her against a stone, suddenly, a miracle. Yep, right then and there. This is the moment that changes everything. The baby doesn't fall, nope. She just slips right out of his evil grasp and flies up into the sky. And as she rises, she transforms right in front of his eyes into a glowing, powerful Devi. And that's our second awesome Sanskrit word for today, Devi. It means goddess. And wow, just imagine what he's seeing. This is not a baby anymore. She is a magnificent goddess with 8, count 'em, 8 powerful arms. And in her hands, she's holding all these incredible weapons, a bow and arrows, a huge trident and a shield, a sword, a conch shell, a disc, and a club. And all around her, these amazing beings from the heavens start appearing and singing her praises. It must have been an absolutely incredible sight. And then, the goddess speaks, and her voice just booms from the sky with this incredible power. She looks down at Kamsa and calls him a fool.
And then she gives him this chilling warning. Hey, you fool! What's the point of trying to kill me? The one who's going to defeat you, your killer, he's already been born somewhere else.
So, you'd think, right? You'd think that after seeing a baby literally turn into a goddess right in front of your eyes, that King Kamsa would finally learn his lesson. Do you think he's going to change his ways and become a good king now? Well, let's find out what he does next.
Well, at first, it kind of looks like he's changed. Kamsa puts on this huge show, crying and saying he's sorry. He's like, oh no, I've been so horrible, like a man-eater, a monster, please forgive me. But do you think he meant it? Nope, not one bit. Because the very next morning, what does he do? He calls in all his evil ministers to come up with a new, even more wicked plan to find that hero.
Now you have to understand, Kamsa's ministers weren't just regular advisors. They were asuras, which are basically demons who are enemies of everything good in the world. So when the king asked them for help, you can bet they came up with a really, really terrible idea. Their plan was just awful. They told the king, look, forget trying to find just one baby. Let's just kill all the babies. Yeah, all of them. And they didn't even stop there. Their plan got even worse. They decided to attack goodness itself. They said, let's start hurting all the good people and even the innocent cows, because they believe that would weaken the foundation of everything good and make Kamsa even more powerful.
Wow, what a story, right? So what can we take away from all this? I mean, it's not just a cool story about an evil king and a miracle. There's a really important warning inside it, a big lesson that's just as true for us today.
And it all boils down to one single super important rule to remember.
And here it is. The story teaches us that when a person persecutes great souls, his life, fame, and all blessings will be destroyed. That sounds a little complicated, but what it really means is that when you're cruel to good and kind people, you're the one who ends up losing. You lose your happiness, your reputation, everything good. It's kind of like how being a bully always ends up hurting yourself the most.
So, that's where we leave our story for now. We've got a hero growing up somewhere in secret, and we've got a villain who is so determined to destroy him, it makes you wonder, right? What do you think happens next? And let's go back to that first question. What makes a villain truly evil? Looking at King Kamsa, maybe it's being so afraid of losing what you have that you just completely forget how to be good. Thanks so much for exploring this incredible story with me today.